Low-key geek.
Hey,
He's a low-key geek. He tries to be out there when he wants to be, but hey, he's a low-key geek.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome once again to another weekly Low-Key Geek podcast. I am Renee, Low-Key Geek, back here again with another show where I dive into some of the latest in pop culture news, movies, TV, games, what have you, kind of give my thoughts and opinions of it, and share that all with you guys. So, hope you guys are coming back from a great weekend and you're having an awesome week so far. Before I get into things, I'll go through my usual spiel. Weekly podcast airs every week. Trying to get back to the Monday schedule. My streaming schedule has kind of interfered a little bit with a lot of stuff that I'm doing on Twitch and all that. So you're getting these episodes a little later than I would like you guys to. So I'm going to really do my best to readjust things to make sure that we can get back on track and get these podcasts up and live every Monday to start the week off and all that. But if you like what you see, make sure to hit that like, and if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please hit that subscribe button, because it will really help with growing the channel and with everything that's going on YouTube and all the other programs and streams happening right now. Every little bit helps in the channel getting recognized by more people like yourself, and it really helps when you hit that like and subscribe and help support the channel. So for those of you who are watching and are regulars, welcome back. I'm always happy for you guys to check me out. And as always, I do stream on Twitch Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and I'm always open to tons of conversations that I love having with all of you guys. A lot of great conversations in the last recent weeks, so I'm having a lot of fun there. Hence why I'm doing a lot of stuff on Twitch, and my focus seems to have switched a little bit there. But I love talking about movies. I love talking about everything pop culture, so gonna focus in and do a lot of that stuff here. And also, if you guys don't know, I have provided timestamps now for every video that I put out there. So if some of the things are news that you've already heard about, or like for example, when I go into the weekend box office numbers, if that's something that doesn't really interest you, you can skip along to the other portions of the video and check out the other topics that I have for today. So the weekend was cool, very chill type of weekend. I actually found myself watching some old movies. For some reason, Airplane popped up on Netflix as like a suggestion for me to check out, and I haven't seen that movie in a minute, and God, that movie still cracks me up, man. I mean, that is such a funny movie. I don't know if it holds up for the younger generation these days, but a lot of the comedy bits in there is what I grew up watching, so I really appreciate that type of humor, and it's still hands down is one of the best comedies that I've ever watched. And then because of some news that I'm going to be going into a little later, I watched Scott Pilgrim again over the weekend, and that is another fun movie to watch, and it was great to relive that and all that. I played some Among Us for the first time on Monday, and that was a lot of fun, and I can see why that game is so popular these days and how addicting it could be. Let's just say a friend of mine that I played with is way too good at being an imposter, so I'm gonna have to try to find a way to be better at that. But that being said, let's go into what I usually like to start things off with, and that is the weekend charts. And now that we are having some box office numbers for the last couple of weeks, let's go into some box office numbers. So, coming in at number one, to no surprise, you still have Tenet at number one. However, there is additional information I will share with you guys a little in a little bit after I go through these numbers here. But as you could see over the weekend, it pulled in $6.7 million, which is a 67% drop from the previous weekend when it pulled in a little over 20 million domestically. So the overall totals for Tenet is 29.5 million domestic, but worldwide numbers that includes all the reported numbers from overseas is Tenet has pulled in 207.5 million worldwide, and domestically it's been showing in 2,910 theaters, which is up 100 theaters from last week. And again, I will go into further Tenet news after I go through the rest of the list here. Number two, The New Mutants pulled in $2.08 million, which is a 31% drop from last weekend. Overall numbers, you got 15.3 million domestic, 29.2 million worldwide, which I'm sure they are not happy about. But given all the problems and issues this movie has had, they should be at least somewhat happy that they can get in this much amount of revenue for a movie that seemed to be have been pretty plagued since day one. And it was showing at 2,704 theaters domestically. Number three, you have Unhinged pulling in 1.51 million, showing at 2,365 theaters. Again, these are just domestic numbers here. Number four, you have a new movie, The Broken Hearts Gallery. This is a movie, it's about a lady who was dumped by her boyfriend, a New York art gallery assistant. She is a New York art gallery assistant, and she creates an exhibit for souvenirs from past relationships. It has a new director on the scene, and it pulled in at $1.12 million, showing at 2,204 theaters. Quite a lot of theaters for a movie that, not too many people may have heard about or anything like that. But there has been some buzz around it ever since it came out. And rounding out the top five here, you have Bill and Ted Face the Music, pulling in just $292,653, showing at only 807 theaters. But also keep in mind, this is available as a premium on demand purchase. So like I've mentioned in past weeks, this is a movie that people have been watching at home, like myself. So that's why the numbers are low there. But going back to the overall box office here, it's very apparent that it's lackluster, and I don't think studios, were expecting this low of a return to the movie theaters. But I mean, come on, how can you not? We are still in a pandemic, believe it or not. I'm sure there are a amount of you out there who may want to or not believe that. But people are just not ready to go back to the movies just yet. And things are going to get worse now that the summer season's over. A lot of drive-ins here on the East Coast are going to be closing down come October, because drive-ins are meant to be for the summer, warmer months and all that. So it doesn't look like there will be a good amount of drive-ins that will remain open for the remainder of the year. Maybe those that are more closer to like the main cities might be able to be open or remain open, but a lot of the drive-ins that are in the more suburban areas are planning to close down. So that leaves little opportunity for moviegoers to go enjoy movies in a more comfortable setting when they're in their cars and not in a public setting like a movie theater. And still here in New York, no sign yet as to when theaters are opening. I think there are rumors that we may be able to start opening theaters at the end of the month. I still don't know if that's going to be true. You still have theaters that are closed in LA, but at least drive-ins in LA could kind of remain a little bit, can remain open longer because of the warmer weather that they have over there. And I heard that Tenet, it will finally allow themselves to show in drive-ins in LA, because I think they're just trying so hard to get as many people to watch that movie as possible. So, but I think because of this lackluster turnout, a lot of studios are taking notice, and because of that, there has been a lot of recent delays announced once again for a lot of movies that have already been pushed back from their original release dates. So you have Wonder Woman that's now being pushed back to December of this year, which could be a conflict for Dune, which was also set to release around the same time. So I won't be surprised if Dune will eventually get pushed back as well. Candyman, the new version of Candyman, which I think a lot of people are eagerly anticipating, which was originally supposed to come out in October, is now being pushed back to 2021. And now there are rumors, and it also appears that Black Widow will be next to get pushed back again. And there are rumors that the new Pixar movie Soul will do a same thing like Mulan did and be released on Disney Plus as a premium offering, or they may go the route as like Onward did and maybe allow for a premium demand movie just for a month or two and then release it for free on the Disney Plus platform. Mulan will be part of the Disney Plus platform in December during the holiday season. But with all the Mulan news happening now, it's possible that they may push that up a little bit because there's been so much just bad news with Mulan in general. And I'll go into some Mulan news later. But I think because of these poor numbers, the studios may be changing on how they report on these revenue and box office numbers. And the reason why I say that is because there was a recent report that came out from Variety that WB Warner Brothers is refusing to share further box office details after Tenet's initial first weeks of release. They're saying that the numbers that were already provided was done so as a courtesy. And I don't know how I really take to that, but if that's the case, it's quite possible that the numbers I just reported to you now is just a snippet of what's really going on. So we may not really know what the full effect of a movie like Tenet is doing out there in the public for its release. And if other studios take note of that, they may be doing the same thing. But then again, there aren't a lot of movies coming up or studios that have movies that are coming out anytime soon. Like I said, I think Wonder Woman was the next one that a lot of people were waiting for, and now that's getting pushed back to December. So I really don't know what's going to be happening with box office releases right now. And I think it's not a surprise to a lot of people like myself, because I think things were just done too early. I think there was too many high expectations that people are going to be coming out in droves back to the theaters when major movies like Tenet comes out. I told you guys last week I saw Tenet, but in a special circumstance where I rented a screen out with two other friends just so we could see it. And when I was there, I hardly saw any other patrons in the theater. I think at most I saw 5 other people, and the theaters were completely empty. So much so that they left the doors open for all the theaters. So as you're walking to the bathroom, you could hear the soundtrack and the dialogues from all the movies showing, and all the doors were open. And I think that's mainly because there was nobody in there. So I really do think that it's way too early for a lot of this stuff to come back to normal. And I won't be surprised if we may start seeing studios explore more of the premium video on demand releases coming up soon. So, what about Mulan? So there was some news about Mulan that came out. So Mulan actually opened theatrically in China over the weekend for the first time, and it collected 23.2 million, which is underwhelming, especially since they were expecting that, Mulan is a story that is based off of Chinese folklore and traditions. But I think the film was played because of all the controversies involved with it. There was the political controversy that's going on, from the main star Liu Yifei's social media posts last year about filming in Xinjiang, which is a very highly controversial area in China that is involved in a lot of bad news and all that. I won't go into a lot of those details now, but if you're interested, you could easily find it online. And so far, like theatrically, you know, Mulan, I think pulled in only 37.6 million globally, which is apparently, you look at it, not apparently, it is a flop. Especially when you think about the movie had a budget of $200 million attached to it, and then when you look into advertising and promotions and all that stuff like that, it's very apparent now that Mulan is failing badly in the box office. And we still don't really know what the full effect of the premium video on demand release numbers look like for something like Mulan. They're not really sharing that much information there. So, it looks like Mulan it was just doomed to fail. And when you hear about the reviews of people who've watched it, it apparently is not even that good of a movie. And Disney keeps pumping out these live action remakes of their classic animated movies, and I think the only one that really did well, or the ones that done well, you had Aladdin that did really well when it came out, but even that, a lot of people still complain that it wasn't that great of a movie. You had The Lion King that did well, but the movie, in my opinion, was very boring. It didn't have that emotion and characteristics that you saw in the characters like in the animated movie, because you can't portray emotions off of real life animals. Even though they're CG animals, you can't tell if they're sad or happy. It's just very flatlined, right? And I think the only really well done live action adaptation was Cinderella, and I think a lot of people share those same sentiments too. So I know they're working on The Little Mermaid, and I'm sure there are other things. I heard rumors about Robin Hood being talked about. So I don't know how that's going to play out for these future live action adaptations. But it's not looking good, to be completely honest with you. And I think it's because when they make the switch over to live action, they're losing the magic that the animated movies had, especially with the audience that grew up with those movies in the past. So we'll see what happens moving forward, but things haven't been looking too great for the Disney live action remakes. So let's go back to some of the weekend charts and look into what you guys, or what the people out there have been watching on iTunes. And this is primarily video on demand, premium video on demand numbers here. So number one, you have Sniper Assassins, and this is an IP that just keeps going, and just primarily action type movie. These are what I consider to be like B movies that are usually direct to DVD, direct to rental type of movies. If you were to go back to the blockbuster days, these are the movies that will like be at the bottom of the shelf or next to the major releases there. So but the franchise keeps going on, and a lot of people still love to watch them. So Sniper Assassins and comes in at number one. Number two, you have Irresistible. Irresistible is a movie that was actually originally released in June, unfortunately to lukewarm reception, but it's the directorial debut of Jon Stewart, and it stars Steve Carell and Rose Byrne. It's a political comedy, and I think that maybe due to its political nature, I think that's why it wasn't really doing that well, especially with the political climate right now and at the time it was coming out. But it looks like people are starting to warm up to it and deciding to catch it, so that's why it finds itself at number two. At number three, you have The Second, which is an action movie that stars two names I haven't heard from in a long time, Ryan Philippe and Casper Van Dien. So I don't know much about this movie, but I guess people are hungry for some action movies, and that's why it finds itself at number three. Number four, you have The King of Staten Island, the Judd Apatow movie that stars, wow, why am I blanking on his name? But basically, I gave my small review about this movie in a previous show. It's a very well done movie, and hold on one second. Sorry, guys. Um, it's funny how sometimes my mind just Pete Davidson. Sorry, it stars Pete Davidson, and I've said before that this is probably one of Pete Davidson's best roles that he's done. I think he really did a good job, but essentially he is kind of playing himself, since this is somewhat of an autobiographical movie about his time growing up in Staten Island and all that, and the family dynamics that he experienced back then. Number 5, you have Force of Nature. This is the Mel Gibson movie. The Mel Gibson movie that I've heard he only shows in very small portions of, but that comes in back into the top 10 at number 5. Number 6 is a documentary called #Unfit, which goes into the psyche of Donald Trump and kind of what I believe it's a bunch of psychiatrists and people in the medical field who go into his psyche of what we've been seeing unfold to the American public during his reign of presidency. So very interesting stuff there. I don't think I really care enough to find out. I think it's pretty obvious to me where his psyche lies, and I won't go into that any further. But that's at number 6. Number 7, you have Bill and Ted Face the Music. This is still in the top 10, and it makes me happy. I hope more and more people watch this, because this was a very fun movie and a nice throwback to the Bill and Ted franchise. Number 8, to a surprise to me, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, the first movie of the Harry Potter franchise. And I'm wondering if this came back into the top 10 because J.K. Rowling once again found herself trending on social media because of something that she's working on that, once again, unfortunately, may show how transphobic she may be. So a lot of controversy there, and I don't know if that stirred up people wanting to watch Harry Potter all over again. I don't know, but it does find itself at number 8. Number 9, you have The Silencing, which is kind of like a thriller suspense movie that stars Game of Thrones alum Nikolai Coster-Waldau. This has been in the top 10 before, but it's a movie that seems to creep back into the top 10 again. So it finds itself at number 9. And number 10, you have Kingsman, the 2 movie collection. This is just a collection of Kingsman 1 and 2. And it's a great, I've only seen the first movie, and that is a fun action movie. Kind of similar like to, Scott Pilgrim and Kick-Ass. It is the same director of Kick-Ass. And I, before I agree to that statement, I want to check my sources, because I sometimes speak and it's not true. But Matthew Vaughn. Yeah, Matthew Vaughn is the director here, and yes, I am correct. He is the one who directed Kick-Ass and also X-Men First Class. So, a lot of people didn't really like the second going of this movie, but I've yet to see it. I'm still extremely curious about it, but a lot of people, I guess, decided to catch up or re-watch the franchise before the new Kingsman comes out, which is supposed to be a prequel to the storylines that happen here. So moving on to what has been popular on Netflix. Number 1, you have Away, which is the new movie. I think it's a movie, or is it a series? It is a Netflix original. It is a drama, and it is a series. Yes, it is a series. It stars Hilary Swank, and basically it's about a woman who embarks on a mission to Mars. with an international crew and leaves her family behind. And I guess it's more of like a drama and how the events unfold there. So I am very curious to watch this movie. So it is in my queue, and I hope to catch it soon. And I'll share my thoughts with you guys here. But it came out recently, so that's why it still finds itself at number one. Number two, you have the Netflix original movie Pets United. This is another addition to the Pets franchise. So a nice offering for the kids and the family to watch together. So that comes in at number two. Number three, you have Cobra Kai, and again, it makes me so happy that this is still being talked about. People are finally watching this series and enjoying it, just like I did back when this was originally released on YouTube Premium. So great to hear that people are enjoying it and that it is highly up on the list here on Netflix. Number four, you have The Babysitter Killer Queen. This is a series that is popular on Netflix. I believe it's the Babysitter series, which is kind of like a horror thriller type of series. And it is very popular on Netflix right now. So this is the latest addition to that. It is a series of movies, I believe. Yeah, it's like a horror comedy type of series that involves, I guess, a lot of teen angst and teen shenanigans. I believe Mick G directed the original The Babysitter, and I will talk about that, something that is involving Mick G a little later. But yeah, that comes in at number four there. Number five, Get Organized with the Home Edit. I think a lot of people are looking for ways to organize their homes, and they've already Kondoed their way, Marie Kondoed their way to finding things that spark joy. So I guess they're looking for other things that they can do to organize their homes. So that comes in at number five. Number six is The Social Dilemma. This is a documentary that kind of dives into the issues with social media and how it affects society and individuals with their mental states and their psyches and all that. Very interesting documentary, something that was kind of popular during Sundance, the most recent Sundance. So this is something that I think I will try to watch sometime soon. So that comes in at number six. Number seven is a controversial title here, Cuties. This is a movie that unfortunately glorifies the beautification of young kids, especially young girls. It's a story about a dance group, and basically, it just sexualizes them. And I think a lot of people really took umbrage with that, and with good reason too. So I think because of all the controversy that is surrounding this movie, that's why it finds itself at in the top 10, because I think it just leads to curiosity there. So yeah, that's at number seven. Let's just say that is something I am not planning to watch at all, period. Number eight, you have Hashtag Alive, which is a new Korean movie. It's a zombie movie, so a lot of good reviews on this one. So that comes in at number eight. Number nine is a classic sitcom, Girlfriends, and something I covered before. Netflix did acquire a lot of black sitcoms and comedies. You had Moesha, Sister, things like that, and Girlfriends was part of that package that they brought over to Netflix. So that finds itself at number nine, and I think that's awesome that people get a chance to finally watch these shows that when they were out during their time may not have gotten the proper recognition it should have. So this comes in at number nine, and rounding out the top 10, Julie and the Phantoms. This is an interesting premise, and I read the premise online. Basically, you have an aspiring singer who joins a band of ghosts, and the three musicians are ghostly musicians who never made it big, but because of her help, they finally get to live their moments as rock stars. So it kind of feels like Josie and the Pussycats in a way. But very interesting premise there, and that comes in at number 10. So that is the weekend charts and the box office numbers there. So like always, did you watch anything here? Anything you want to share your thoughts and opinions of on? Leave that in the comments. I'm always happy to hear about them. And if you have any recommendations, please let me know. Every week there's always something to watch, and I've been busy watching The Boys and Lovecraft Country, The Vow. I told you guys before that I finished Umbrella Academy, which was fantastic. Everything I've been watching has been great. And hopefully I can start watching that new Ridley Scott series on HBO. And Away is definitely on my list there. So yeah, share your thoughts in the comments, and I'm always happy to engage in conversation. And or you could find me, like I said, on my streams on Twitch, and we could talk about things there. So before I go into additional movie news and all that, I was really surprised how crazy the internet was over the weekend. There was a lot of things that kind of hit online that people were just buzzing about, and I kept seeing things being trending on Twitter and all that. And I think the biggest thing that trended on Twitter involved Captain America. So Chris Evans, who portrays Captain America, it's appears that not only does he have America's ass, but it appears that he also has America's penis, because it sounds like there was a crazy leak that happened over the weekend where a shadow of his penis was photographed or videotaped, and it also accompanied another photo that he had that was like a picture of himself with, it was like very meme like, that said guard that p word and all that. Very interesting stuff. I did not spend any time in looking for the actual photo, but all I did see were the memes that kind of just blew up online over the weekend, and some of those memes really had me dying. It was really, really funny. But I think the best thing to come out of this was Chris Evans, his own reaction on Twitter. And basically his reaction was, he tweeted a response after the whole blowout, and he said, "Now that I have all of your attention, vote." So I think he handled it in the best way possible, and it just led to hilarity all throughout the weekend. So I thought that was really, really funny, and it was just, again, never doubt the internet and how innovative and creative and humorous the internet can be at times, especially during moments of embarrassment. And kudos to Chris Evans to keeping a good head on his shoulders and laughing a little bit about it, and kind of switching it around into and making it a positive note there. So that was really interesting. Another thing that kind of popped over the weekend too, and this is unfortunate, but though kind of outstanding to see it unfold, is the effects of all the fires that are happening in San Francisco and in California in general. That over the weekend the skies of San Francisco were like orangey red, and it gave off this weird vibe to it, as if it really does look like you're watching scenes from Blade Runner 2049. If you remember that movie, or if you haven't seen the movie, at least through the trailers, you saw that the hue and the color was pretty much the same here. And it's just so eerie and unbelievable. And I read reports about people waking up in the morning seeing the skies this color and all that, and freaking out. Some people were making Star Wars jokes, saying that they felt like they were on Tatooine and all that. So this YouTuber basically took these videos, scenes taken from what apparently is a drone, you could tell, and put the Blade Runner music to it. So it is such a perfect fit. But I was just astonished with the scenes coming out here, because it's just so eerie and unfortunate too, and it kind of just shows you that global warming is a real thing, in case you weren't aware of that. But these are some of the effects of global warming there. Another thing that caught my eye over the weekend too, and again, I don't know how these things happen, but in Taiwan, it looks like they were apparently having some sort of kite festival, right? And you could see in the video here, they're getting ready to release this really huge kite. And I don't know how in the world this happened. because you could see, them preparing there. And notice the ones handling are all adults, right? Doesn't look like anything, out of the ordinary is happening right here, right? Now, you let this video play out, and then when they finally release it, as you see it happening here. Let's just give it a moment here, because again, this is just, it baffles my mind how this could happen. Boom, a kid gets tangled at the end of this kite and goes up in the air, God knows how many feet up in the air. But look at this, how freaking freaky is this? I'm not playing the audio of this video right now, but the person videotaping is freaking out, and you can see everyone is freaking out and all that. Now, fortunately, the kite did finally come down, and they were able to rescue the girl. The girl was a 3-year-old girl who got caught up. I believe it's a girl, or it might be a boy, don't know. But before we get into this next one, but it was just really, really scary and freaking. I don't know how things like that happen, right? So really, really scary stuff. But again, one of those things that I couldn't help but like watch over and over again, and just like, how the hell did this happen, right? One of, on a more lighter note, going forward, Paul Rudd is officially certified as a young person, and he created this awesome video that our governor Mario Cuomo here in New York released. I think it was on Sunday or Monday morning, and it is the funniest thing that I've watched in a long time. And basically, it's Paul Rudd doing a video encouraging or pleading with millennials to wear a mask. So, he portrays himself as a millennial certified young person, talking the lingo, all the catchphrases that a lot of the kids these days use, and, letting people know how cool it is to wear a mask and how everyone should really wear a mask. It is so funny. And again, I love Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd is an amazing actor, amazing comedian, a comedic actor. He's great in the Ant-Man series. He has that Netflix show. Let me pull up the name of that show, Living with Yourself. And if you haven't seen that series on Netflix, you should do yourself a favor and watch it, because, it's the premise there is that, the character that Paul Rudd plays is someone who's, down on his luck. Things aren't going well. He hears about this center that said that he could turn his attitude and outlook on life around to a more positive way. And then basically it turns out that they just cloned him and altered his DNA to be a more positive person. And then the only reason why he finds that out is because his original state finds its way back into reality, and then the two clash, and then that's when the shenanigans begin. But it was not only comedic, but had a lot of great dramatic moments in it too. Great series, you should totally catch it. But again, Paul Rudd is amazing, and I love how he just kind of loses it at the end of this video, basically just screaming like, it just makes sense, wear a freaking mask, like, it's so simple, it's science. See, wear your mask, it's science. And then he closes it out with a little cool clip with himself and the guy from the Hot Wing Challenge, and kind of doing their little skit here. So this is part of a series that New York has been doing, where they tasked a lot of people to create videos encouraging people to wear masks and all that. I didn't really see or notice that there were a lot of celebrities who did so. I think there were compilations of where celebrities teamed together to kind of do videos together, but this was the first like fully produced celebrity video that someone made, to kind of encourage the wearing of masks and to encourage public safety and all that. So again, brilliantly done, really, really hilarious, and I really, really love this. It was so funny. And then the last thing that kind of caught my eye video wise is Ryan Reynolds once again helps his buddy Hugh Jackman, and this time he's helping Hugh Jackman promote his coffee company in the only way that Ryan Reynolds knows how, and that's poking fun at Hugh. And basically, Hugh is waking up during the day and he's this completely different person where he hates people, he hates animals, he's grumpy and all that. And he only gets into his Hugh Jackman, happy go lucky, music loving guy after he drinks Laughing Man Coffee, which is the company that he is spearheading here. And then he becomes the Hugh Jackman that we all know. And the great thing about the coffee company is that all the proceeds that are taken, for the purchase of this coffee brand goes back to the farmers who are working on providing these beans. So he's not actually collecting any of the revenue here, and all the money is going back to the farmers and all that. So really great stuff, really hilarious video. If you have a chance, do catch it. It's quick. It's only like a minute, and it's Ryan Reynolds. He's really happy, and he loves poking fun at Hugh Jackman. So really, really good stuff there. So good stuff. That's the internet, and I really have a chance to kind of talk about all the stuff that's happening on the internet, but there's a lot of good stuff. You do find gold every now and then, and this past weekend leading into the start of the week, there was a lot of gold to be had. So I had to kind of just, share those moments with all of you guys there. So a lot of stuff to talk about movie and game wise, so let's just kick into things now. First off, Scream fans are rejoicing because it's been confirmed that Neve Campbell is returning to the popular franchise Scream for its 5th movie, and will be joining other regulars David Arquette and Courtney Cox. Plus, separately, there was a full cast list that was announced. And basically, in this movie, you have Melissa Barrera, Jenna Ortega, Jack Quaid, Dylan Minnette, Mason Gooding, Kylie Gallner, Jasmine Savoy Brown, Mikey Madison, and Marley Shelton. Now, I have to admit, I'm not familiar with a lot of these names. However, the one standout for me is Jack Quaid. And Jack, if you're watching The Boys, Jack Quaid is phenomenal in that series. And because of that alone, I am a little intrigued on how this new movie is. There are rumors going around that it might be, again, another meta type of movie that kind of goes into the newer instances within the horror genre that we're seeing today. And there have been rumors, and I don't know if this is true, but it would be hilarious if Neve Campbell came back and did more of like a Drew Barrymore where she actually gets killed in the beginning. I think that will piss a lot of people off, but then again, it is Scream, and I could see them doing something like that. I haven't been a fan of the Scream movies, like the last iterations. I think 1 and 2 were the only ones I really liked the most. So we'll see what happens with number 5 here. I think that will be really interesting to see how that pans out, especially when you have a good amount of the cast returning back to the franchise. So moving forward, there's been a lot of talk and a lot of news about director's cuts, and I think we're getting a little bit too far with it. Especially it being such huge news. I remember back in the day when DVDs and Blu-rays were really still a thing, and not saying they're not now, but I think a lot of people have weaned off of physical media and kind of focused more on digital stuff. But I remember some of the best things that attracted me to buying a DVD or a Blu-ray was because they had an alternate cut to the movie usually associated with them, right? I remember one of the more recent ones was the X-Men Rogue cut, where they had a specific cut that featured Rogue in, I believe it was Days of Future Past, where Rogue was a more prominent figure in the storyline. The movie that we saw in the theaters didn't have Rogue in it at all. So I thought that was something that was really interesting, and it was big news, but it wasn't like huge news, right? And it was something that was kind of almost expected when you would buy a DVD that came out, because it will have some special Easter eggs like that in there. But yeah, big news, because the one major thing was, when Zack Snyder said that he's going to finally be able to release his Justice League version on HBO Max next year. But then it led into this barrage of other directors who started wanting to, release their own cuts and alternate versions of movies that they've worked on. And majority of the time, it's movies that no one really cares about. So you had, in more recent news, Rocky 4 is getting a director's cut. And Sylvester Stallone is heavily working on that right now. And he wants to, because we all remember Rocky 4 being a extreme 80s campy movie, and nothing really as serious as the previous movies were. But it looks like he's trying to go with a more serious tone for the movie. And the big controversy in that is that he's cutting all the scenes out that features the robot, the infamous robot that Paulie kind of like falls in love with and all that. So weird stuff there. But the latest in wanting to do a director's cut is, as I mentioned before, Mick G. And Mick G now wants us to see his darker version of Terminator Salvation. And that is the movie that I believe features Christian Bale. And we've all heard the outtake of Christian Bale losing it on set. The whole, oh, good for you, as he's yelling at a lighting person and all that. But Terminator Salvation was supposed to be the start of a brand new trilogy that Mick G was spearheading. And unfortunately, because of the poor reception that Salvation got, that didn't really go into full fruition. But Mick G feels like he has a version that will speak differently to the audience, and now he wants to talk about releasing his own cut on it. And I don't know how I feel about all this, to be honest with you. I was not a huge fan of Salvation at all. And I don't think I need to see another version of it. I don't think it will change my mind about, my thoughts on how the movie is or anything like that. And plus, to be completely honest with you, I'm pretty much done with the whole Salvation thing. Or not Salvation. I'm pretty much done with Terminator. We had the most recent Terminator movie that came out that starred... what was that movie called? Terminator. Not Genesis, because Genesis had its own problems there. But Dark Fate. It was, David Goyer did write that, and we did get to see Linda Hamilton back in the role of Sarah Connor, and of course, it wouldn't be another Terminator if we didn't see an older version of the Terminator with Arnold Schwarzenegger portraying it. And it was okay. It wasn't like a great movie. I did give them kudos for being ballsy and doing what they did in the beginning of it. And, I don't want to give spoilers or anything here. However, the movie did come out last year, towards the end of last year, so it still kind of falls within that spoiler territory moment. But let's just say they did something that I wouldn't have expected them to do, and I actually applaud them on doing it because it kind of changes things around. If you're interested, you could check it out. I don't know if you'll like it, but it's still interesting nonetheless. So yeah, Mick G really wanting to release his version or darker version of Terminator Salvation there. Over the weekend, DC held its second half of their Fandom event, which didn't really have a lot of big news there. It was a lot of talks and behind the scenes. It focused a lot on their comic properties and all that. But there were two main things that came out that is movie and TV related, which were somewhat interesting. So one is we got additional details on the Flash movie that is being worked on with director Andy Muschietti. If you are familiar with Andy Muschietti, he's the one who directed the It movie franchise, which I loved and I think is great. And I was looking forward to this movie, but because of the situation that is involving Ezra Miller right now, I don't really know how I feel about it. But basically, he's saying that the movie, you should expect to see a very deep and emotional story that will also be very funny. But like I said, I feel like there's been a lot of backlash on the reaction there because of Ezra Miller. There was that video that came out of him apparently choking some lady in Iceland that no one has yet to comment on. No one from the Ezra Miller side, no one from Warner Brothers or DC has made any comments on it. And it's like they're kind of sweeping it under the rug there. And that is leaving a pretty bad taste in my mouth. And I don't really know how comfortable I feel in supporting this movie. Knowing myself, I may still watch it because of curiosity, but again, I don't know how my feelings on Ezra Miller right now will affect my enjoyment of that film or wanting to support it. It would be nice if, and of course, you wouldn't expect them to address it during a fandom event like that, but something should have been said by now, I think, and I think if they wanted to make good with the audience base, at least those who are very familiar with what happened, because I'm pretty sure a lot of the people in the general public don't realize what happened or didn't pay attention to it. But it would be nice if they could at least make a statement to address what really went down there, because I think it's something that needs to be said and kind of addressed and acknowledged, because even to this day there's been no acknowledgement of it, and I find that extremely disturbing. But another great piece of news that came out is involving Young Justice. So apparently, it looks like we are going to get a fourth season of Young Justice, that was just given the green light to move forward, and it will obviously be airing on HBO Max. The third season, which was a kind of debuted on HBO Max, I believe, just finished its season, and just finished airing on the HBO Max platform. So, I mean, I've always been a fan of the animated Justice League cartoons, and then when they went into the Young Justice route, the first two seasons were amazing and really well done, and then it just got canceled out of the blue from Cartoon Network. Still kind of like iffy as to why that was, but then it found life again, and they were able to bring it back, and then they were able to bring it back on HBO Max so people can really watch it. So it's nice to see that they are continuing in that series and that franchise, because Young Justice is really well done and good storytelling there. So really happy to hear about that, and good to see that they're continuing the franchise there. So I mentioned The Boys before. I've been watching it. I've been enjoying it. You have 4 episodes available to you right now. They are releasing episodes weekly. But unfortunately, the series is getting a huge amount of bad reviews. But not because of the storyline, but it is because of the decision to release the episodes every week and not all at once. So when they first released all 3 episodes at once, and then last week they only released the 4th episode, tons and tons of people were going online, going to a lot of review sites, going to like IMDb and all that, and just giving bad reviews all across the board. And it's because everyone is just butthurt that they can't binge watch this series. Grow up, people. That's all I got to say. It's like, did we already forget how it was back in the day when we used to have to wait every week for a show to release its new episode? And guess what? If you missed it, you couldn't go back. There was no such thing as a replay or a rewind, unless you you taped it on VHS when that came out, or we would have to wait for reruns, right? Whenever that would happen. I grew up that way. I don't mind waiting week to week for episodes to come out, because it kind of builds that excitement to see, like, oh, I'm finally getting a new episode of this. The Mandalorian did it, and no one complained about it. It was done they did a really great job in keeping that anticipation going. It allows for people to talk about each episode every week amongst each other, build up speculation, kind of what they call like the water cooler talk, right? Maybe it's because like not a lot of people are working in offices nowadays, and people are stuck at home, so it's harder to talk to people about things like this. But it shouldn't be. That shouldn't be a deterrent as to why you're not liking a series, because you're not getting every episode when you want it. I think it's just, a lot of unearned privilege that people are expressing. And we're spoiled as a current society. You have Netflix, Hulu, who spoiled, us with releasing all of these episodes all at once, allowing us to watch everything all in one sitting or in two sittings or however you want to split it up, which does have its benefits. It makes me feel like I'm watching an extra long movie, but at the same time, it is nice and refreshing to have that period of wait for a next episode to come out, because you know what, there's so much things to watch now, and I can't afford nowadays to sit down and get caught up in a series, and then before I know it, 5 hours of my day has been taken away because I was just stuck binge watching something, which is really all on me. But if it's a great show, it's like you compare it to like a great book that you're reading, right? You're reading a book and you're loving every minute of it, and you can't put it down, right? Before you know it, it's 3 in the morning and you're late for work the next day because you can't stop reading. I've done that. I have a lot of friends who got caught up in stuff like that. So I get it. I get that there's that attraction and there's that inevitable trap that we fall into. But you shouldn't blast a series just because they decided to go back to how it was in the day and release every episode week by week. That's not a merit for blasting a series. And for those of you out there who are impatient and can't wait, then don't watch it. Wait until all the episodes come out and then watch it all in one shot if that's the way you want to do it. People like myself will wait week after week and enjoy it. And, if when the series comes to an end, maybe we'll watch it all in one shot all over again. I might do that. I feel like The Boys is the type of series that I wouldn't mind doing that, but I really don't think it's worth the backlash it's getting. So I thought that was pretty unfortunate there. But sticking on with other superhero news, and this was something that I was really excited to hear about. This is a piece of news that dropped on Monday. And it involves Marvel. And it involves a casting of a certain villain. So Jonathan Majors, who you can see right now in Lovecraft Country, and he was in Defy Bloods, the Spike Lee movie that came out on Netflix. He's a great actor, and I'm really, really loving him in Lovecraft Country right now. The series, by the way, is also really fantastic. If you're not watching it, I highly recommend it. I do plan to do a review of it eventually, but really, really great stuff there. But Jonathan Majors has been cast to portray Kang, the upcoming villain that will be featured in the new Ant-Man movie. Now, not only is this exciting because you have a great actor, a great new actor, up-and-coming actor that is cast in a Marvel property. So Marvel and Feige, they probably already think very highly of this guy, which is great. But the villain that he's portraying is a very, very important villain in the Marvel universe. I would say he is of the same level as a Thanos, but in different ways, right? And that the main important thing that gets me excited here is the lineage of Kang. So for those of you who don't know much about comics or anything like that, Kang's lineage actually ties himself to Reed Richards of the Fantastic Four. So again, if you know me, you know how much I love the Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four was always one of my favorite comic books growing up, and even today. But I'm so excited because it looks like now they're laying the groundwork on introducing America's famous superhero family to the public, and I think that is so exciting, and I can't wait to see how that's going to unfold. It is interesting that they are casting him in an Ant-Man movie, but I do think Ant-Man kind of plays perfect bookends to kind of the phases that Marvel does. And it could be just like a glimpse. It may not be the main protagonist in the movie, or the main villain, I should say, in the movie. Or it could be like an introduction to him in the movie. We have yet to see what the storyline is going to look like, but the fact that they are already casting for this villain, the fact that there is presence and acknowledgement that this villain is going to be the next in line of the villains, of the Marvel villains, gets me super hyped. So I really can't wait to see what they're going to do there. And again, if this is going to be the beginning steps, the baby steps, and the groundwork of finally getting the Fantastic Four introduced into the Marvel movie universe, then count me in, because I am super excited about that, and I can't wait for to see how that's going to unfold. So yeah, Jonathan Majors, good job, man. Like I said, catch him, Lovecraft Country, good stuff, really really good stuff. He's a great actor, and I'm excited to see what else he can do moving forward. All right, let me get ready for this intro here. Dynamite. All right, who remembers Good Times? The classic comedy sitcom from back in the day, Good Times, that introduced us to the comedy stylings of J.J. Walker, looks like it's making a comeback, but this time in animated form, and will be coming to Netflix. The new story of the new animated Netflix show will revolve around the Evans family, and how they try to navigate through today's world and dealing with the current issues we're facing today. So very very interesting stuff here. Carl Jones, who worked on the Boondocks and Black Dynamite for Cartoon Network, created this show and will serve as showrunner, and that gets me excited because the Boondocks was a great series on Cartoon Network. Very very well done, very funny too, and Black Diamond was just hilarious. Very well done series there. So if he's gonna bring a lot of that stuff over to Good Times, then I'm pretty excited to see how this series is gonna turn out. And Netflix does a really good job with a lot of these animated series, especially the ones that are geared more towards the adult crowd. So I'm really really curious to see how this comes out. But yeah, Good Times making a comeback. Let's see how they portray J.J. Walker walking the streets of today. I think that'll be really, really funny. Finally, oops, didn't mean to do that. We were finally given a sneak peek into the upcoming Animaniacs Revival that is coming to Hulu in November. So they released this video, which is like a behind the scenes look at the production of the new Animaniacs show. It, dives into, of course, the history, and God, could you believe that it was 27 years ago Animaniacs came out? But yeah, it's been around for a while. But yeah, whole new series. You get to see like the new drawings here and kind of the new animation, and they got all the voice actors back together again, and you get to hear them portray their characters once again through this really cute little behind the scenes video here. Not a lot was really divulged in this video. Like I said, you got a glimpse of some of the animation, which just looks like a modernized animated form of these characters. Doesn't look anything like too crazy. I like the fact that they're keeping it kind of more of like that 2D animation and not going like CG like a lot of things do nowadays. But I'm excited. Animaniacs was a great series back in the day. I would watch it every day, every week. Nice to see that, Pinky and the Brain are coming back. I'm pretty sure a lot of the Good Feathers, I'm looking forward to seeing them come back to the screen. And it looks like it's just going to be a lot of fun. So I'm really, really excited to see that. But if you wanted to check it out, it's up on YouTube, a nice little behind the scenes video. And, basically it's a nice little tease for the November release of the new Animaniacs. So November 20th, it will be up on Hulu. So check it out. Going back here. So yeah, I don't know what I would call this, but apparently starting next year, CBS All Access will be changing their name to Paramount Plus. You could tell where they got that from. Kind of sounds way too close to Disney Plus. But apparently the Paramount Plus name is already being used in Latin America and the Nordics. And I can only see this as a move to kind of help beef up the content for CBS All Access, even though they are doing a lot of work right now in beefing up the content. But to add more of the Paramount IPs to it, I guess that will help things push along. And you could kind of just see that Viacom and Paramount are playing really nicely together again, because I think there was a lot of beef between the two for a while. But it looks like they decided to make amends and join up. So yeah, Paramount Plus. So for those of you who are subscribed to CBS All Access, you're going to get that name change next year. So kudos on that, I guess. I don't know how I feel about it. It's kind of weird news. But lastly, in the whole movie and TV front, we finally got our first teaser trailer of the second season of The Mandalorian. and I am super pumped. I cannot wait for this to come out. It was a very short tease, but it showed us enough to get us excited and gave us insights as to what the next storyline is going to be. So season 2 comes out end of October on Disney Plus. Basically, what we had a chance to see with this new trailer is it looks like the main plot is going to have the Mandalorian look for the family of Baby Yoda, or the child as they call it. So you hear the dialogue, you see some of the scenes of, his encounters. You get to see what looks to be maybe a Jedi, because he is being told that in order to really get more information as to where the origins of the child comes from, he may have to interact with the Jedis, who, if you are familiar with Star Wars lore, the Mandalorians and the Jedis had huge conflicts with each other that led to a major war back in their history. So you're going to be dealing with the Mandalorian facing that conflict of going to an enemy, seeking out help in order to, save the life of Baby Yoda. Not that it doesn't look like he's in danger or anything, but just wanting to bring him back to where he really belongs and all that. Great scenes. You're getting to see a lot of new characters there. There was a great scene in this little battle arena where Mando becomes Mando, and Baby Yoda. This is a really cool thing where Mando's getting ready to fight, and he kind of just closes up his little cocoon there, and he's like, "Oh, I'm out of here." I thought that was really adorable. But yeah, like I said, you got enough to kind of whet your appetite for the next season. We didn't see Giancarlo Esposito. We didn't see anything from him. You did see a glimpse of Gina Carano oh gosh, again with the names, Mandalorian, the guy who played Creed, Carl Weathers, sorry. Yeah, so you did see a glimpse of them, and it looks like they will have interactions once again together. So very, very interesting stuff there. Very excited. I'm super pumped about it. I can't wait. I don't think I need to see anything else, to be honest with you. Like, I'm good that I got this tease. I know it's coming. I kind of have an idea now of what the storyline is going to be like. I'm good. Let me just get surprised when it comes out and I get a chance to watch it. And I'll happily watch it week to week, unlike some people out there. So take that. But moving on to gaming news. So big news dropped over the weekend when, in an apparent response to Microsoft and the whole Xbox news that happened last week, Sony confirmed that they are having a special PS5 focused conference on Wednesday, 9/16. I don't know if this was something that they originally planned or they had to kind of rush to put together or push forward to an earlier time or earlier date, but it only means that we will more than likely finally get details on a launch date and pricing of the next gen consoles for Sony's PlayStation 5. So I'm excited to find out and just know finally what it is. Just tell us, when is it going to come out? How much is it going to cost us? Because we already know everything on the Xbox Series X. Even though I do feel like it is a little expensive for the full-on disc version. But what are the details on the discless version? Are they going to go the same route and you have that huge price difference? And what about all the accessories and all that? So I am really excited to see what they're going to have to say about all that stuff. So I'll be sure to talk more about it once the conference happens in a couple of days. So very, very interesting stuff there. Over the weekend, Ubisoft had their latest Ubi Forward game showcase, and two things stood out, and I was actually really excited to hear about this stuff, because in the previous one I could care less about a lot of the things that they talked about, but one looks like, to a huge surprise to myself and maybe a lot of you out there, we are getting a Prince of Persia Sands of Time HD remake. So Prince of Persia: Sands of Time is getting a full HD remake that is coming out to all platforms on January 21st, 2021. It will feature fully revamped cinematics, um, move mappings, and character designs and all that to bring it to more of the modern HD look and feel for all the current platforms today. The great thing I heard about that it will come along with the game is that players will have a chance to play the original Prince of Persia game that came out on the Mac back in 1992. So that's going to be like a hidden feature or something that is unlockable that you will be able to access through the menu and play through. So I love it when they do stuff like that. It makes it very fun and interesting, and of course brings that back memories. Even though I've never played the Mac version, but I played I guess you could say uh, the the versions that came out afterwards that mimicked a lot of the stuff from the original. So, yeah, Prince of Persia. This was like a huge title within this franchise that a lot of people really, really loved, and whether you want to say fortunately or unfortunately, this is the game that also led to that Jake Gyllenhaal movie, Prince of Persia, which got hugely panned by critics and viewers alike. My bud Paul, you know him from Paul Programs, actually likes the movie quite a bit. So I was pretty surprised to hear that. But hey, maybe it hits people at a certain time when it's supposed to, and it means something to them. So I'm excited to see this and play it, because I never really fully played the original when it first came out. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing how they're gonna do it this time. But the one piece of news that had me gleaming with joy is that they are finally re-releasing Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the game. And when I heard this news, I got super pumped, and it was kind of unusual timing too, because those of you who know me on Twitch, my Friday streams usually involve a flashback Friday portion, where I like to bring back an old game from back in the day and kind of replay it or play it for the first time. And I was already planning on playing Scott Pilgrim versus the World, because several weeks ago there was an article I read that it's unfortunate that this game kind of disappeared from the PlayStation Network store. It was delisted, as they call it, and basically you couldn't find it anymore. So if you never purchased it on your original PlayStation 3 when it came out, you had no chance to access it. Now, I was fortunate enough that I purchased it back in the day. I still have my original PlayStation 3, and I said, it'll be fun if I could play this again during my Flashback Friday streams. And then last week, boom, the news dropped, and it got me super pumped again. I played it on my stream on Friday. Everyone enjoyed watching. I had a good time playing it through. The music is great. The soundtrack is fantastic. That's what led me to watch Scott Pilgrim again over the weekend. So I'm super, super excited for this. It's not really a remaster. A lot of outlets are calling it a remaster, but they're not changing anything in the game. They're just bringing the game and just making it compatible so that it could play on all platforms, because they're releasing it on Switch, Xbox, PlayStation, Steam, what have you, Stadia, and all that stuff. And this time they're bundling it with all the DLCs that they released for it. So you have your Knives Chow DLC and your Wallace DLC. So really, really fun stuff. I can't wait. It says that they're releasing it this holiday season, but there hasn't been like a firm date. So hopefully we'll get to know about that soon. But yeah, I had a huge blast playing the game all over again. Those of you who haven't played it and love kind of like that old school look when it comes to these platform games, you guys will really enjoy it. The boss battles are fun to experience and watch, but the music, the soundtrack is fantastic and it's phenomenal, and it's really, really great stuff there. So really happy for this coming out and can't wait. So my last piece of gaming news here. Again, another title that I'm anticipating and really eagerly waiting for next month in October is Squadrons, Star Wars Squadrons. It's that flight simulator-ish game based in the Star Wars universe, which I think is starting to turn off a lot of people because of how heavy it is in the simulation aspect. That doesn't scare me because I love playing simulator games like that, especially in a universe that I love, like Star Wars. Back in the day, I used to love playing TIE versus TIE, X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, all that stuff like that. And TIE versus TIE, I don't think that was a title, but you know what I'm talking about. But I used to play those games a lot on the PC. I had a flight stick and everything, and I was really, really loving those games. So I welcome a game like this, and I think people are putting too much into it. Yes, you have a lot of full controls over your starship and all that, but I really don't think it's as intense as a lot of people think it's going to be. At least that's what I'm thinking. I could be wrong, but we'll know come next month. But what EA did is that they released this mini, I want to call it like a mini movie. It was like a mini short that kind of told a storyline that is supposed to play as a prequel to the game itself. You saw basically a huge space battle, I should say, that pit the Empire versus the Rebels. And during this one particular battle, obviously, it looks like the Rebels won. And it takes place, I believe, a little after Return of the Jedi. So you have, at least within this sector of space, the Empire was defeated, except for this one TIE fighter. And he finds his way hiding in some debris, and you have the Rebels, leaving the scene and all that. Whoever survived the Empire already light speeded away, and he wasn't able to make it with the rest of the crew. But then you have this one pesky X-Wing who decided to do a little patrol, and then they start going at it. And the way that the short was done, like the dogfighting between the two, was very, very similar to like Top Gun, I would say. It was so intense, so exciting, and it ended in a way that was like really thrilling and exciting. And I don't know if the character that is shown in this screenshot and that was portrayed in the trailer is going to be a main character in the storyline, but basically he survives. He gets a call on his comm, looks like someone's going to be able to rescue him, and he says like the battle's not over yet, and boom, and then that's it. And then wait till October because Squadron's coming out. But the great thing is that it really puts you into that mode, and you really feel the tension that you're going to probably feel while you're going through a lot of these battle situations, whether you do it through the solo campaign or with your buds through multiplayer. So really, really cool thing. Not a lot of companies do stuff like that, but I appreciate that EA puts something like this together. It's very Star Wars. Again, they want to build the hype. Especially since October is literally around the corner. So I'm really, really excited and pumped to play this game. And the little short that we got was a nice little tease to all that. So really, really good stuff there. So that's pretty much all the news I had to cover there. If anything that I mentioned, if there was anything there that you were intrigued about and you wanted to talk more about, or you wanted to put your input on, please do so in the comments. I read all comments and I respond to all of them, and I just love interacting with a lot of you guys out there. Did I miss anything? Was there something that you wanted me to bring up or want to bring up in the next show? Let me know. But with that being said, that is the show for this week. Guys, again, thank you so much for all of your support and for watching. I will be back again next week with another episode of the Low-Key Geek Podcast. So do stay tuned to YouTube or Facebook as to when the next episode drops. Again, if you want to catch me on my live streams and you want to watch me play some games and have great conversations, I stream Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I may do a day on the weekend as a little bonus, or maybe like a Tuesday or Thursday. We'll see. But I started playing Among Us, as I mentioned. Good stuff. I play Paper Mario on Mondays because Mondays are for Mario. I'm also playing Marvel's Avengers for the month. And on Fridays, I started playing against some FPSs like Predator Hunting Grounds, which a lot of people were happy to see me go back on. So do catch me there or catch me here on YouTube. I have some reviews coming up. I have a Tenet review that is very delayed, and I apologize, but that's going to hit up there. And I'll be posting other reviews from some of the shows and movies I've been watching, and some gameplay highlights from my streams and all that. So until next time, stay cool, stay classy, stay safe. Make sure you are kind to one another. Wear a mask. Listen to what Paul Rudd says. All right, it's science, guys. And wash those hands. And I hope the rest of your week is a memorable one. All right, guys, take care. Peace out.